So now we're going to have another one of our headline slots. We're going to be hearing from Laura Potts, who's another fantastic Northern poet. And I think I'm right in saying that she's actually from Wakefield. So really nice to have someone local reading and sharing really great work with us. So I will read you her official bio so you can learn a bit about her. Laura Potts is a writer from West Yorkshire. A recipient of the Freudian Poets Award, her work has been published by Aesthetica, The Moth, and The Poetry Business. Having worked at the Dylan Thomas birthplace in Swansea, Laura became one of the BBC's New Voices in 2017. She received a commendation from the Poetry Society in 2018 and was shortlisted for the Edward Thomas Fellowship in 2020. So thanks for being here with us tonight, Laura. And without further ado, I'm excited to hear your set.
Thank you, Lizzie. And the great thing about Zoom is you can wear pajamas and nobody knows you're wearing pajamas. So I think this should be something we do at live poetry events. The picture in Ireland. In the beginning was the bird on the hinge of spring, and the misting flocks on the knoll's wet chin fled from the fox with his shot and gun. It was morning. We sang up the sun with the Sunday hum and hymn of Mam chiming down that patchwork land. Through the nocturne town and far, past the blackthorn bowed to prayer, and vows that wilted in the air, the city threw its lights on you. In the darkest heart of Belfast, it was 1972. That dawn of last and longest death, we woke the eyelid of the day and laid the dark to rest. I remember, kid, the wind blew like a passing breath, and in that way it always did. The forest sang beneath your step, and in the sooner far ahead, the meadows fled away from where the dark things slept. With Dad's flat cap upon your head, coughing back a cigarette whose end you never met, you ran a mile electric with the planets in your eyes. You drew the bows of playground boys while yes, the star that fell behind, shook and sweated lemons at the sin of passing church. You never cared for that. You never tipped your hat. You laughed and cursed and spat the cleric's sermons to the last, and that was that. Always just good crack. But at the blast, beneath the drums of Carthage, all the stars unhinged and fled. And you, kid, who leapt the fire heart ahead, left only scraps of wind to gasp the passing of your death. For in your last and loudest steps, the decades fled beneath your legs, and past the chapel arch ahead, a diadem upon your head, you raised a weeping rag of red to warn the living of the dead, and said that prayer you'd never said, but it was lost instead. And in those gobbet drops of flesh wept Our Lady overhead. I waved, and mouthed a broken vow that you would never see, and saw you in the longest light where you will always be. I used to work at the Dylan Thomas birthplace in Swansea, and we used to get so many people that thought it was the Bob Dylan Centre, and they'd come in and want me to tell them all about Bob Dylan. From Kathleen. After you, my lighthouse hope, who made a bonfire of my eyes, the city streets grew old, and I, like a lamp candle pale in the cold, cold night, who saw your spotlight glow and fail here in the crag-black winter of Wales, I who brought to your door the Irish moors and London's charm, and the wheeling, laughing shorebirds of Larne, and made town bars our drama's stage, and aged a decade when you played away with local girls and corner whores. I whose garden full of fruit, folding infants in our bed, bled hot tears at 2 a.m. when morning didn't bring you home again. I, with the red slits of my eyes, who saw in evening's cups of light your hunchbacked, bent-bowed head, a celestial star, when your words rolled far across miles, and your eyes in the window light took the crack from my smile, like a movie played in a firefly night. And I, once the lover whose name you carved into stone, find the winter's old cold teeth now blunt in the first frost flakes of November, the annual month we remember your bones still gold in that American bed. Dead 10 years, and still I doubt when, within those great Welsh wells and walls, they ring your passing bell, Dylan. Did I ever really know you at all? Virginity. It was winter. At the purple turn of the world, the distant cities slept and slurred in the glim on the sea's wet skin. It was early evening. I watched as a bird split the hinge of its wings and left on the infant winds, into the starling darkness, into the black of the Atlas, into the silent miles it moved to the luteous bruise of the moon, smooth as a womb. The room thickened with hours, glamorous black. I lay in a dark of my own like that as a candle coughed to the last. Thought of the bird on the lavender back of the dusk, a distant fiction. Far from the quiet vision, as the fields unreeled at dawn, I remember the way that the rain had fallen clear as a tear on the pane. Remember, colder still again, the child that scampered down the lane beyond the dark, the rain. I'm going to finish with this poem, which I wrote for the Anthony Burgess Centre in Manchester. Anthony Burgess is one of my favourite writers, and in his memoirs he writes about Manchester as the great city of music and theatre and jazz, and he regrets how that is no longer the case. Thank you for having me. It's been lovely to read in my pyjamas. Night Song. Birds came in on the tail of the day to the evening bells of Harpurhey. Dusk had smudged the land, the lanes long as sorrow in the graceless rain. He'll remember the hour, the saddening glamour of lamps in the dark, the way the city lit its quiet lights below the stars. And this is home, old as coal, as cotton, old as the throat that a boy broke open there at even song. Yes, Manchester, your little lights lived on. He knew the prayers, the silver songs that lit your sky by night. How time would remember this city, the thousand lost tomorrows, and the avenues of light, and oh, the human music, the ever bells, the pipes that lifted through the smoke, there held their holy notes. And those bright gods, over the domes of the dark, he watched the sparrows charm and sparkle into absence, into loss.